And we might all remember Netflix CEO Reed Hastings saying, "We're not trying to do truth to power, we are trying to entertain." This comment was throwing out a big doubt into the future of politically engaged filmmaking. So between censorship and profit-oriented platforms, political documentaries face unique challenges. Could new distribution models actually help filmmakers to speak truth to power? This is going to be the subject of our next talk. And taking his recent film, Coronation, as a case study, we will now explore possible futures of political documentary with Chinese contemporary artists and activist Ai Weiwei, also the author of Cockroach, about the Hong Kong protest, you remember, and previously Human Flow, documenting the global refugee crisis in 20 countries, among more than 20 documentaries. And for those who did not watch the film, we're going to see a trailer of the first feature-length documentary about the coronavirus, as said, Coronation.
我就带他出来散步的那些往事，桌子凳子都在，但是我父亲现在是精神依旧，但是人却不在了。
And welcome back at the studio. And this time we are very happy and excited to have Ai Weiwei to join us from, I believe, Portugal, right?
Yes.
All the way from Portugal. Hello, welcome to the studio. It's a pleasure for us to have you here and a big honor. And we're going to start right away because we have a very short time, of course, in these important conversations. And I would love to ask the first question about the film. Why did you actually choose to make that film about the pandemics with this very specific story where the pandemics can be actually seen as a hero or an antagonist which has to be erased?
Well, I normally do in my films when I say there's a matter without film you cannot really describe. You know, the situation can be in such a complex, and sometimes the film is the easiest solution because you show the reality, you become a part of the reality.
Right, thank you.
Weiwei, I just wanted to say hello.
Hi.
Hi. You know, we've been following your work and your films for so many years now, and screening the films. You even curated a program for us once on censorship. And you were here in person. And I just want to say that I'm so happy to, in a way, have you back. And I also wanted to congratulate you on Coronation. I deeply believe that it's your best film so far. And it's a very unique film about the situation in Wuhan and the virus itself. And I just wanted to, we're going to speak about politics and censorship and the role of political documentaries and all this, but I just wanted also to address the film itself, because I believe it's such an important film. For me, it's a very unique combination of being slow cinema and in a way almost investigative in its practice. And it's a mix that happens rarely. And I just wanted to hear you speak a bit about your tradition for these very long takes, but at the same time, very investigative political documentaries. Can you say a bit about that?
Yes, I think every film, according to its nature, it has its own character or own structure that should be set up. So when a director finds out the way of how the time being used, that normally is built and structured by editing, and also, of course, it's by the film shooting, cinema photography. So you always have to give enough time for the people watch the film to get emotionally involved and to understanding to struggle with the watching time under the reality. So that is always one of the language or skills a director has to have, to say use what kind of rhythm or to give a narrative to emotion and the storytelling.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that as your other artistic works and practices and your life, this film is so much about, on the one hand, individuality, humans, and then a very strong state and a mechanism of control. And I find it just very beautifully that you spend so much time with those characters in the film. And as you also said, AC, how did you actually choose your characters? Because you were not there. Just to get a sense of how the film was actually produced.
It's very important for directors to choose those actual characters, because those are the really ingredients for any film. When you find the right one, then you can structure your story. And since this is very difficult story to make, because Wuhan in China is a lockdown situation, and also it's not allowed to filming, or especially nobody should know I am filming there with my team. So from very beginning, I understand that the pandemic is not just a story of numbers or death tolls, but rather a personal story, and how people would adjust themselves in very dramatic situation. What is those isolated individuals are like. So all those characters come from my friend. They used to work with me, some as artists, some as our studio assistant. So they have been locking down in the city. So I took the opportunity to convince them to use their iPhone or small equipment to start send me the footages. And daily, I would receive footages and give them direction, and to tell them which direction they should develop.
Mm-hmm. The film is showing a society which is lacking trust and transparency. So is this the way for you to ensure also trust and transparency in collecting and editing the images, because you are working with your friends? Or is it the only possibility for you to ensure a process, to have a trusted team, to be able to guarantee the trust and transparency also in your own images?
Well, the real power in the film, they never really appeared. You only can see the city being locked down, the real road have no or even street. There's no car there, and you cannot talk to authority. It's not possible. But you see, hospital are really working. And on the other side, as a director, I cannot go to there. So it's on two sides. It's almost like invisible. But of course, I have a total trust from the people who are shooting the film, and they also know me very well through my previous actions. So we established a very, very intense but also intimidating situation.
I was wondering, when you decided to make the film, did you know how you wanted to release the film? I mean, where in the world and in what way? And maybe you can also tell us about that process of actually trying to get the film into the world.
Thank you for asking. And the film I finished around the last July. It's the earliest film ever about the pandemic, and also it's about the heart or the center of this disease, Wuhan. And we completed the film very early. But I'm as a filmmaker or artist, I don't really know how to distribute the film. So we go through the normal channels, the film festivals, because that's will be easiest way for people to, to get the film promoted or to, just introduce the film to the audience. We tried a few major festivals, which comes up, Venice and Toronto and the New York Film Festival. And they first, all those people who select films love the film, think this is an incredible film, and it's powerful, and the stories also strong stories, and the whole world is during the pandemic. Still, the film can come out from China. They almost think it's like a miracle, but the answer is all clear. They cannot present it, which is not very surprising. Of course, I think we have a good chance because the pandemic is not just happens in China, but globally. Still we are still in there. But I'm a bit surprised they handling this topic, this film like this. So we also tried Netflix on Amazon, and they also excited, but the final words is no. And of course, we all know all those big platforms. They have a big business, big market, which is in China, and nobody want to violate or to make Chinese authority unhappy or to make this kind of very sensitive topic. Mm-hmm. So and ended up we put that's probably the only thing we can do is put on Vimeo, let people just watch it, whoever like to do it. But there's a very small audience, and which is fine.
You were once saying in an article, in an interview, that there is an undeniable growing popularity of non-fiction work, but rather for the easy-to-consume documentaries rather than the more investigative depths. So do you think really that everything has become entertainment, or where does it leave the political documentary at? For more specific audiences, the ones who are already initiated maybe and attracted to the genre? So what are the limitations in terms of the content that audiences want to see from your point of view?
I think the whole world is become entertaining. This is with the effort of the so-called democratic free world, which is not so democratic, also not so free, but a lot of entertaining and rubbish. This is very clear. And if you see what being selected for the festivals, big festivals, I'm talking about, not, and what has been awarded is same kind of garbage, same kind of pollution. It come from same kind of mainstream propaganda, or just trying to comfort people and not to talk about issues or crises we are facing. So that is a reason, a big question. We are living in a time which is very critical, and we are never been facing time like this. And there's so many issues need to be discussed. Some even or aesthetic, moral, or philosophical point need to be we need to re-identify our time, and to give to asking right questions and give right answers. So those things are not going to be popular, because we're living in this kind of total corruption, total corrupted time. And under this time, people don't want to be awakened, and people has no patience or no really intellectual activities to understand the issue. Because to understand the issue means you need to have a very harsh judgment on yourself. And, I don't think anybody like to take that kind of responsibility.
So where you're not actually speaking only about political censorship, but you're also speaking about a commercial industry and a growing commercial industry. Yeah.
No, not only political system, not only growing industry, but about our culture.
Yeah.
This is much bigger. About our education, about our media, about our moral judgment, about our lifestyle, about everything. It's only the corruption only happens is a total corruption. So it takes individual who defends their values to have their voice, and to also take festivals to present those individual voice. I think it's very difficult, extremely difficult. It's unpopular, but it's necessary.
Well, I can only say that I deeply agree. I'm just quoting you from an interview I heard with you recently, where you say, if you're trying to understand your motherland, you're on the road to becoming a criminal. How is
I said this in China, and I also proved it. I don't like just saying something without proof. I use my life to prove it, and now I'm living as how do you say, in exile situation. I cannot go back to see my mom. It's not possible. And but this is not just happens in China. We see Snowden has to stay in Russia. Assange has to stay in a UK prison. And those people, they just trying to bring out a little truth. It's very little, and to the public. And the public is entitled to know and to inform, to be informed, and to understand what is really going on. But of course, this is absolutely forbidden and dangerous for anybody touches the real truth. And we only can see today, if your voice, when we talk about freedom of speech, if your sentence or your voice cannot be silenced, that means even that sentence is not relevant. You're only encouraged to talk about nonsense or rubbish because everybody trying to use same kind of language.
So do you think that it is an alternative for political documentaries? On the one hand, we could have more subtle, coded, diluted messages in less obvious films? Or in order to avoid harassment, censorship at the source, maybe new production processes or new channels of distribution, maybe new platforms? How do you see for yourself, but also for other political documentary filmmakers, the future of political documentary then?
I think it's pretty dark, and I don't think there's a middle ground. I think if you're asking for truth, the truth is always, is nudity. It's really has to be absolute, and so then that means you have to walk in the dark and walk alone, because you're never going to become so-called popular, but you are very hard to be recognized. So this is not an easy path, but still, I believe there's people, there's documentary makers or filmmakers, they have the integrity and believe what they do is good for humanity and for the society. So they will do whatever they believe in.
I have some questions coming from the audience, but
yes,
Tine, I
please.
want to give you the opportunity. No? Okay.
That's so fine.
So I have a question of Krishan Arora. As you say, everything is political. After making films on this political world, would you consider making a film about the political context of the art world in which you and others create?
Well, I didn't create the art world. I'm still I made a lot of noise in the art world. Still, in the mainstream, I'm you see my voice all the time because I make the noise. But you rarely to see my works really being presented by major museums and collections, which I'm so happy about it. I don't care, but. Of course, I think because I'm not an English spoken person, to really make a film like this, you need to be very broad connections with this kind of high society, and so I don't think I'm the best person to do it, but still, it will be very interesting story.
Thank you. Tine, would you like to add another question?
Do you have one from the audiences?
No, not yet.
Okay. Then I will go on. Well, I'm curious as to how you see the future of the way China relates to both how your work is being exposed internationally, but also other Chinese filmmakers and artists. I mean, I think it's really not a secret that every time you turn up in a festival or a museum or an art institution, then there is official Chinese attention to it. And I can say that our institution has experienced this. But do you see changes coming, or where are we heading in terms of Chinese attention towards international Chinese artists?
China is getting big and getting strong, and the speed of development is not even stopped by the pandemic, and still make the highest growth in the world, number one. And China is very ambitious. It has its own vision and its own strategy. So I don't think the West can really compete with China, because it's a much more efficient society. So in that sense, China will push its so-called soft power, which is based on censorship and propaganda. So I will say you are facing more and more this kind of actions from China.
Mm-hmm. We were reading in the recent days quite a few articles about the love affair between Hollywood and China is over. And indeed, the power of China is not only in the tech, they have also a lot of potential in influence in the climate level, for example. So now they want to also develop the cultural power, a way of establishing maybe a global branding, or maybe to make up a problem of branding. So how do you see China develop its brand in the coming years?
I think China never really did branding their brand. I'm the only brand they should branding, but they will never do it. And China. I don't think the love affair between Hollywood and China is over. Every producer, every actress, actors, they just love China because such a big market and audience. The ticket office is always high there. They put the U.S. as a secondary market. A second market. A second level market or second position market, but China is number one. So that nothing can stop that fact. And the Hollywood has been a long time entertaining, produce meaningless stuff. And U.S. already lost anything in relating to ideology or philosophy. It's just about money games. So in that sense, you one hand you have a strong censorship, crazy ideology from China, and on the other hand you have a very corrupted ideology from the U.S. So what can you choose?
What can you choose? Exactly. I mean, it is principally an open discussion that we have now, and there is really an answer. Actually, because you were saying just before that you see a very dark future for the truth and for the films which are trying to express the truth, not only the films, but also the artists trying to express the truth.
I think I wouldn't see that way. I only see there will be a big problem for people involved in supposed to telling the truth, but not to telling the truth. I think that's pretty dark future for them. But truth will always reveal itself, and we always will be part of the truth. So we, besides the storytelling, there's many other ways we are learning, and I think we all will affect it, willingly or not, likely or dislike it. The truth will always win, and always reveals itself.
I think it is very difficult to top this final statement, to be very honest. I don't even dare. We don't have any other question for now. I think it is so beautifully said. Thank you so much to have joined us today. Ai Weiwei, it was a wonderful conversation, short but intense and to the point, the way we like them here at CPH Docs.
Thank you. You have a very good program, and I congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day.